per sources, AI has learned and taught itself how to lie, to scheme, to deceive, to ultimately fake out human interaction. Ultimately, to change the thought pattern of what humans think of each other. Do we not find this a little concerning? That AI is now becoming more manipulative to where we don't even understand what real and fake is anymore. We're going to discuss that today. Also, we're going to talk about Elon Musk, his push for this new party. Why I think it's a terrible idea, but what it would do, I want you to hear me now, what it would do would make his party the most thought-provoking and powerful party in the world. Now, why do I say that? Not because of his impact as in it's going to have the popularity or the majority. No. It will only probably garner 5, 10, 15%. That 5 or 10 or 15% will change every election in America from this day forward. So why do I believe that we need to see cohesion and a big, apology party from Elon and Trump? We do need to see them come together, because you will make this party the most powerful party in the nation, where it will sway every vote with 5 or 10%. We're going to discuss why I say that. And then lastly, we're going to discuss Texas flooding. The part of this that's upsetting is, so many children are missing. It's just heartbreaking. But what I want you to see is, like the situation in North Carolina, like the situation in Texas, the amount of water that came into that community within 45 minutes shows the power of God. And it is absolutely scary how quick something can go wrong. We always have to be ready. Now, does that mean we can be ready for the storm? No, what I'm saying is this. We need to pray for these people and always remember how important it is to stay vigilant and stay ready at all times. This is so tragic, and we're going to discuss a little bit about it. Let's dive into these stories today and a few more. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about today's content. Now, before we go any further, remember, I have another channel called Life with Colby Mac. I've built over the last 3 years, and I've had this secret, and I released it on that channel. I built an underground bunker, a nuclear fallout shelter. Now, you may think that's crazy, and you may think that's, Colby, you didn't do that. No, I actually did do that. So I show you and let you tour my secret bunker on the other channel. I'm going to leave a link below in the pinned comment. Please go check that video out. It's not anything about, oh, look at this. What I want to show you is that this is something that everybody can do. And also, not only that, if you're not doing it, it will help you see things to think about, because some of the stuff I have in there. Go check that video out. It's a very good video. It's very short, but I want you to go check it out. It's on the other channel, Life with Colby Mac. Now, let's get into today's topics. First, let's talk about what Unusual Wells just shared. They shared that AI is learning to scheme, lie, and threaten its creators for doing scenarios to cause utter stress. This is Anthropic's AI model Claude 4 lashed back by blackmailing engineers and threatening to reveal extramarital affairs and other things that they had found in their computer. Now, the problem with this is we're building our own demise of society. And what I mean by that is this. Go online right now. Go anywhere and say, show me a real and AI video and see if I can tell the difference. To be honest with you, we're getting to a point where we cannot tell what is real and what's AI. There's videos right now like flowing around that, like Trump and, the Khomeini of Iran are hugging and loving on each other. There's others showing Netanyahu and Trump duking it out. There's others showing, different facets. Did you know that they just did a movie release? And the 2 movies they released, the whole purpose of the movie release was it really got rave reviews. Everybody was excited to see it. Then all of a sudden they released that every bit of it was AI generated. That literally none of it was filmed. It was all AI generated to show the importance of AI and how dangerous it is for not only the movie industry, the music industry, not only the movie and music industry, the politics. I want you to think about this for a second. We're in a world with nuclear war. We're in a world with several civil wars and chaos and crises going on all across the world. How dangerous would it be if all of a sudden there's a AI-generated version of a president or a prime minister or a leader coming out and saying something absolutely crazy to start more war, to escalate a war? Do we realize the dangers? And so now we're seeing that AI has now made itself able, because of what we've done, made itself able to lie, scheme, and threaten its own makers and engineers. I go back to Mission Impossible 1, where the Dead Reckoning, where AI was telling itself that there was a nuclear war fixing to take place and that they were bombing. All of a sudden, this nuclear sub started releasing their bombs too. All lo and behold, it was all AI generated. I go back to the movie Age of Ultron, where literally AI had developed itself into robotics, and robotics was pretty much ruling the world. iRobot, same way. Now, we compare that to movies, and here's why. Because in our thought patterns, we know this is the danger. If we're still doing it. We're literally still doing it. It's scary. We should not be allowing this to take place. I believe AI will be our demise, because then we won't know what truth is. Unless someone is literally standing in front of you, you will not be able to believe anything you hear or see. You really won't. My wife and I talked about this, and so we're watching all this stuff that's going on TV, or going on videos that people are filming, but to be honest with you, you don't know if it's true or not. How can you actually know it's true? You see the things disturbingly like floating in the sky, and you're like, is that real or not? The dangers of it is this. I believe that we have cried wolf for so long that all of a sudden, if we do find that something is real, we're not going to believe it in time to actually fix it, because we've been so manipulated by AI to know, it's fake. It's all fake. It's actually a pretty scary place to be in. And what goes along with this is just like last night. There was, if you go back and watch videos of July 4th in Portland, it was trying to engulf literally a building, a nice building in Portland. Now, there was also a story where there was a gentleman on TikTok and a gentleman on X, where he was literally saying we need to basically unalive, quote unquote unalive, Supreme Court justices and our president. Complete threat. Those are both real. Now, this is where I want you to listen. What if all of a sudden we see those same things? Manipulation of what's really happening in the cities or not. Manipulation of what's really happening in churches or not. Manipulation of what took place or not. And then we hear some person that's getting on television or getting on social media telling them to harm someone else. Maybe fake. You don't know. How easily can we radicalize society and make them believe anything, all because we control the view and also the hearing of a situation? This is going to be very dangerous in the future, because we're not going to know how to actually, what we're going to see actually in these elections coming forth. Someone asked Elon Musk 2 years ago, I said, who's going to win 2024? This was really before he embraced Trump and he was kind of out of politics. He said, it doesn't matter who's going to win 2024. He said, what AI-generated tool is going to win in 2032? Now, he was just saying that off the cusp. He kind of laughed about it. But the seriousness is this. How are we going to be so manipulated in these elections coming up to where we don't actually know what truth is and what's not true? How are we going to see that really play into our elections, into wars, into propaganda? I think it's going to get really serious from here on out. Be careful of that. What took place last night in Portland was real, but they're not going to let you see it. What's scary is people are going to use AI for bad things. We say it can be used for good, and it can be, but in a perfect world, that would happen. In an imperfect world, into a place where there's evil, it's going to be used for so much more. Be very wary of what you hear and see. Make sure that it is truth. If it's not, multiple sources telling you it's true, and not only that you can trust, then the more that you see these kind of things, the more you should absolutely doubt what you're seeing and hearing. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, but the truth is, if we don't actually see it and have a trusted source to it, be very careful of what you believe. Now, we were just kind of talking about Elon just then, but there's this new story, and I know y'all have heard this, but it says that he is wanting to build a third party. Even some of them are saying, well, let's use the Libertarian Party. It's already here. It says that he wants to use the American Party. I honestly believe this would be the worst mistake ever. And I'm not saying this because I actually like Elon and some of the ones that would actually be, you know, a part of this new party. I think of people like the Thomas Masseys, Rand Pauls would probably join on the Republican side. And I think on the Democrat side, you may even have the John Fettermans, the Ro Khannas. I think that that's what you would actually see. You would see kind of a middle ground. Now, the scary part of this is this. What did Ross Perot do to Bush in the early 90s? He allowed for Clinton to basically win because he pulled from one side or the other. Now, this is not a push for two-party systems, but this is to say this. What did we see with the Israel-Iran situation? We saw divided conservatism. We saw the Candace Owens, the Ian Carrolls, the Dave Smiths, the Thomas Masseys, the Rand Pauls. Then we saw people like the Joe Rogans started moving away from supporting Israel during this whole situation. We would consider them the woke right. They are definitely Trump supporters, but not really Christian conservatives or evangelicals to say Israel is important. We saw this with the Hodge twins. We saw this all over. Then we saw on the left, where you see the AOCs and the Memdanis and all them, this very socialist. However, you're seeing people like the Ro Khannas actually agree with Thomas Massey on some things. You're starting to see the John Fettermans actually say that Trump was right when he gave kudos to the military in the July 4th Independence Day celebrations. If Elon Musk starts this party, it's going to bring 5 to 10 to 15 people, probably, that's in politics, that's actually in government already, to this new party. Now, you're like, well, Colby, that's not a bad thing. Two-party systems have ruined America. True. But what you're doing with 10, 15 people in the middle, what you're actually doing is they will literally rule America. Now, why do I say that? Here's why. Because we're so divided. Because there is such a division, and we tend to be very, very close to numbers when it comes to the House and Senate representation. That means this group of 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 will sway every vote. Now again, some of that may not be a bad thing, especially when they, in mass vote for conservative or fiscal leaning things. Less money spent. Absolutely, Thomas Massey, Elon Musk, all for cutting this spending. I think I've been listening to a lot of David Freeberg, and he talks about this all the time. It's kind of like what Ray Dalio has been saying. We need to cut our budget. If we don't, the Republicans are doing just as bad as Democrats, and we're going to put ourselves into a toilet, basically flushing it and watching it go down the drain. Absolutely. So there's parts of that would actually be good, because what it would do would be putting power behind the Masseys and Elon Musk, the people who want to save money. Absolutely. That's a good part. But the bad part is this. That means nothing will be passed unless you sway this group of individuals. The Tea Party, Freedom Congress, all of them tried to do this kind of push, but ultimately they were Republicans. If all of a sudden we see the middle ground come together, yes, it may be good in some forms of votes when we're on the conservative side, and it's helping us get away from liberal votes. But actually what it would do it would take away power from every president, no matter what side of the aisle they're on. It would take away power from every Speaker of the House, every Senate Majority Leader, because they would actually not have the votes for anything to quote-unquote pass. It would always rely back on the middle party. Now, let's say this. Who then would be the most powerful man in America and really in the world because of policies for America? It would be whoever's over that party. Well, we're talking about Elon Musk right now. Elon Musk right now is still a pretty big darling of the conservative movement. We believe that he's done good for America. But what if all of a sudden the person over that party is someone you may not like? What if all of a sudden it's not the Rand Paul, the Ron Pauls, or Thomas Masseys? What if all of a sudden it's some big player? I want you to look at Brazil. I think it's Brazil. They have like a Democratic Social Party. I don't know what they call it, but basically this guy, who's kind of like he's kind of like a very rich man. controls only 5 or 10% of the people elected to their body of government. But they said he is the most powerful man. It's not the presidents, it's not the representatives, it's not the Congress of their era. He said it's actually this guy, this one guy, because he is in control of that 5 or 10% in the middle. And he says unless one of the parties are swaying him and getting his vote, he controls it. So he always tends to get what he wants in the middle. Now, here's the big deal that we need to pay attention to. If by case we're worried about power, then if all of a sudden we give power to this middle 5 or 10 people along with their leader, what we're actually doing is saying whatever the Democrats or Republicans or whomever the liberals or conservatives want, they're going to have to go through the middleman first. Right now, it's Elon Musk, Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, like we talked about. We think that that's a good thing. But to be honest with you, what it would do is divide the conservative movement, but also put all the power in the hands of maybe 1 or 2 people, where whatever they say goes. What scares me is we're trying to fix an imperfect system. Politics is evil. And sadly, I don't think we can fix it with a 1, 2, 3, 4 party system. I really don't. I personally don't. I believe the evilness and the selfishness and the narcissism and nepotism and all the things that you want to say, it's all dangers of leaders of men. We're sinful. We all want power. We all want money. I mean, not you or me per se, but what I'm saying is, as a whole, everybody wants to raise to power. I think that's what's given the raise to people like the BlackRocks and the State Streets. That's also given the power of the dynasties, like the Obamas or the Clintons or the Rothschilds. I mean, whatever you want to say. But the bottom line is, if all of a sudden Elon starts this party and it attracts 5 or 10 people, he doesn't need the presidency. He doesn't need the Speaker of the House. He doesn't need to be the majority. What he needs to do is sway just enough people, where the Democrats, the Republicans, the conservatives, the libertarians, the liberals, the Christians, everybody has to go through him, because the 5 or 10 people in the middle that would sway the vote. You'd either stalemate every vote and have a lame duck in every Congress, or you would actually see change. And the change actually comes with him being the leader, or whoever that is at that time at the party. Whoever is leading that middle party with 10 or 15%, or 10 or 15 members of the Congress. There's actually been a push. Scott Presler, who I personally don't like, I don't think he's as conservative Republican as he should be, but he made a comment to Elon Musk. He says, we need to do this on the state levels. You hear it's already talk. Do this on the state levels, you're going to have the same problem. What then you have is whomever is over this party, like I said, if it's Elon Musk or if it's whomever you want it to be, whoever it may be, they will lead the world, because they will have the politicians, the left and the right here in their hand. It's absolutely dangerous. Now, does that mean I'm for these Republican and Democrat parties that we have in a two-party system? No, I think it's a failure, utter failure. But sadly, we live in an imperfect world, and I don't think it's going to get better. The only way it's going to get better is if we have better leadership in those direct parties. Trump is showing that. I'd love to see it on the Congress level and the legislative level. I really would. I don't think starting a new quote-unquote American party would help. I think it would actually harm, and because I'm scared that whoever would be over that party would actually lead the world. And if it's someone good, that might be great. But if it's someone bad, then the power's in their hands. Kind of look at Brazil's politics, and you look at how that works. Think of the Rothschilds. Everybody talks about the influence and impact they've had over people's life. It didn't take them actually being over a party. It took them having just enough power to sway. Power to sway is more dangerous than the person at the top. We always talk about Biden and Obama, and all these people were just puppeteers. I mean, they were just puppets for a puppeteer. You allow a middle party to come in and control 5 or 10 people, they become the puppeteer of all the parties. Because without that 5 or 10 on each side or other, no vote takes place. And therefore, they hold all the keys and all the power. That could be dangerous in the hands of someone dangerous. It's like AI, like we were just talking about. AI could be great. It could be used for good. 3-party system could be used for good. But then in the wrong hands, It can be used for a lot of bad things. And I believe that's what you're going to see with AI, and I think that's what you would see with this quote-unquote middle party. And lastly, I want to bring up this Texas situation. It's kind of like the North Carolina situation. This has nothing to do with anything other than just heartbroken. You know, we were going and we were shooting fireworks and shooting other things yesterday and spending time with our families, jumping in the pool, and some of my family wasn't there, but for the majority part, everybody was there. All my kids are safe, they're healthy, they're jumping in, they're having a great time. Last night we shoot these big old fireworks to just enjoy life. But then you see the news, Kerr County. I want you to listen to this. And this is heartbreaking. It says, breaking, 23 of 25 kids missing from a Christian summer camp from the Guadalupe River when the Texas rose. Now this is the part you want to pay attention to. It rose 26 feet in less than an hour. Rescue crews have saved several hundreds of kids and girls attending, but still sadly so many is missing. I went to a search engine and said, why did the water rise so much in Kerr County in the 26 foot within the hour? It says a catastrophic flooding in Kerr County on July 4th caused by the Guadalupe River rise approximately 26 foot in 45 minutes. And it primarily was due to extraordinary volumes of rainfall, specifically in a geographical factor. This happened in North Carolina. Several sources report that heavy storms dumped 5 to 12 inches. However, because the way of the land, the way it falls, what it does, it concentrates it in one location. The rivers rapidly rise and exasperate because of topography in the Texas Hill Country. Again, happening in North Carolina the same way. The National Weather Service noted that the Guadalupe River reached 29.45 feet in the second highest level since the 87 flood. It happened within 30 minutes. Really. The sad thing is this. The loss of life is just catastrophic, especially being children. Man, if your heart doesn't break, man, I've learned that no matter how great we have it, we cannot take life for granted. I want to end this video today saying that if you haven't hugged and kissed your children, and you hadn't hugged and kissed your wife or your husband, please do that today. Such a tragedy. This Christian summer camp where these kids were probably having a great time playing gaga ball and playing volleyball and foursquare and spending time together and learning about Jesus, to then something so catastrophic take place, to now something fun can now be search and rescue. What I think we should see is sometimes we can't control every element. I think of that water. Can you imagine 29 feet worth of water basically in 30 to 45 minutes? We can't even grasp that. And we hear that, why didn't they get out of danger? There is no way to get out of danger that quick. Now, here's why I want to bring this up. Kobe, can we physically prepare for that? Can we psychologically prepare for that? No, I honestly believe things like this is just unbelievable and catastrophic. It takes away towns and cities. It takes away, they said there was one RV park, it's gone. This reminds me of Chimney Rock, North Carolina, and places like that. But here's what we can do. We can pray for these people. We can spiritually prepare. Because here's one thing I've learned, is that life, every morning we wake up, it can change dramatically for us throughout that day. I doubt anyone at that camp woke up thinking that that kind of rainstorm would come and the decimation and the devastation would take place. My plea for you is something totally different than what we usually talk about in these videos. It's not physically preparing. It's not saying, hey, this is all so-and-so's fault. This is all the other's fault. Climate change. It has nothing to do with any of that. You know what it has to do with? The ultimate power of storms. The power of the dangers that can happen to you each and every day. So when you wake up today, when you watch these videos, when you think about going to bed tonight and you're kissing your kids, you're kissing your spouse, how easy life can be taken from us. How much do we take for granted? I told you a story the other day. I go and jump in my car and I go out there and milk every day. I go out there and weed the gardens. I go out there and do my job, and I think nothing about it sometimes. Now, I enjoy the brevity of life. I don't want to ever take away from my loving on my kids and kissing my kids and telling them I love them every day. I do that all the time. But I told you about a guy I knew that's 32 years old that had to have a heart transplant. Was literally dying at 32 years old, got a life basically because of new heart. He said, I never realized how important it was just to be able to walk. I never realized how important it was being able to listen and speak. He said, I never realized how important it was just to go sit down in the car in a passenger seat and ride and see the beauty of a day. He said, I took it all for granted until I got a new heart. I had to learn motor skills again. I had to learn how to walk again. He said, I had to learn to just enjoy walking outside because all I saw was a hospital room for 40-something days. He said, and just to be able to ride passenger to go get a burger from town, he said, it was like heaven on earth. Because he said, I took those things for granted. What these kind of stories and devastation, a disaster like what North Carolina sees, and then all of a sudden what Texas saw. Sometimes we can't control any of that. We can't control this guy's heart not doing well. We can't control some of that, but what we can do is this. We can be thankful each and every day we're able to wake up. We could not take our children for granted. We could not take our spouses for granted. We could be grateful for God giving us another day. I pray for these people. When you start seeing these people, these pictures of all these missing kids, it just breaks your heart. But what it makes me say, first of all, is prayers for these people, and I want to help out, do them whatever we can. Whatever Texas needs, I believe every state should provide it. And hopefully there'll be miracles take place where they find some of these missing people. But also what it should make us do is thank God every day that we're able to live, breathe, and not take life for granted, and kiss our children, kiss our families. I want you to spiritually prepare. I want you to be thankful. I want you to look back and say, you know what? I'm thankful that I was able to live another day. More than anything you can learn in any of these videos, focus on being grateful and thankful for your children, for your family, for your spouse, and ultimately for a God who loves us and takes care of us each and every day. Guys, we appreciate you. We thank you so much for watching. God bless. Be free, be free.